Hello, welcome to the HydroBitBox tutorial and building. I'm Justin Kennedy. I'm a learning experience designer for the Northern Lights Collaborative out of the University of Minnesota. What we're going to do is look first at designing or creating the water storage container for the HydroBitBox. And so what I have laid out is the materials you'll need for this section. You'll need tubing, scissors, a water pump, marker, this step bit, which is in this yellow container. I have this is the charging cable for the drill. You will need to charge the drill, the battery, before you use it. And so if you're unfamiliar with drill, the battery for this one is here, and if you press, you can take it apart, and then you're going to take this plug it into the battery, plug this side into the AC outlet, and you'll let that charge. You'll also need a container. One of the containers here, and it's important that it is opaque so no light can get through. Let's first put together our drill. And so if you're unfamiliar with the drill, we put the battery source, the power source, back in. On this drill, it has two parts. We have on the right this button, and then on the left that button. If you see on the right, it has an arrow that points in the direction of the drill. This is simply saying that we screw things in this way, whereas the other side has a direction towards the user, which means we will unscrew things using this side. So for most everything that we're going to do, we're going to keep this right button pressed in, and that way our drill will turn towards the right. Also, the next thing that we need to do is adjust the torque. That's done by this top wheel along here, and we're going to just go ahead and turn it all the way to 21, or past that little drill bit piece. So lastly, we need to take our step bit, and this step bit allows us to cut holes or drill holes at a specific depth or width, I should say. So to get the drill bit to actually attach to the drill, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the drill bit, put it in this part here, and then I'm going to rotate this part to the left until we feel it starting to get snug around the drill bit here, and I'm going to keep going until it's nice and tight, and then I can grab here and twist. Some of them click, this one doesn't click, so I know it's snug on there, and if I turn this, it should be going straight like that. So what I want to do is I want to take this and drill into the storage container here. So on the side of our container, our storage water storage container, I've already drawn two holes here. We just need them on the long side, either side is fine, approximately 1.5 inches down. So if you need to get a ruler, you can do that. The placement of these holes is not too important. We do want them about 1.5 inches down from where they are. Once we have those holes, and I will say they're also about 2 to 3 inches apart, the specific details on those is not too important. What I'm going to do is I'm going to position my drill so I can put the center of the drill bit directly onto the black hole that I've done. Now, like I said, this is a step drill bit, so the steps are created so you can know exactly the depth that you're cutting through. This also allows us to cut different depths with the same drill bit. For this particular one, I'm going to make 100% sure I remember the width here. I'm just taking the screw part from the bulkhead and putting it on, and it looks like it's that third rung, which is 3/8. So we are going to drill until 3/8, and I'm going to mark that on the drill just so I can visually see where I'm stopping. So when I get to here, I'm just going to color that black. Makes it really easy to see where we're stopping. And we're going to cut the same width for both holes. So, bing, 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 bing. All right. And so now I have my drill bit colored. I now know where to stop. And so I'm going to do this first hole here. I can start very slow. That's okay. We want to make sure the drill bit doesn't move. And then once it starts getting some of that plastic off, that means it's set in there. And I can go ahead and pick up some speed. I'm going to put a little bit of pressure behind it. And then when you feel pretty confident, you can go full blast. Sometimes it takes a second. Oh, there we go. And so we want to be careful not to go too far down or too far in depth. I still need to go a little bit further. So we see there's still some black there. I'm going to just go slowly at this point. And there we go. So now we have a hole that is 3/8 inches in diameter. I'm going to do the same thing for the other one. So being cautious at first. So these holes have now been cut, and just in case you've cut too much, that's okay, or drilled too large of a hole. If needed, you can use duct tape to fix that hole and try again. If it's just a little bit larger than 3/8, that's okay, because in our next step, we're going to be using this bulkhead. And so the bulkhead allows us to connect the tubing to this tank, both return and pumping the water out and then pumping the water back in. So there's 3 parts to this bulkhead. First is the actual bulkhead itself, which is a 2-pronged or barbed side with the threading. And then there's also the nut and then also the silicone washer. And so with this, we've drilled the holes and we have taken the hole. All right, hold on. I gotta start over. I'm wondering if moving the lens thing is making it freeze up. So why don't you keep it and I'll trust you to do the thing, okay?
What are you moving the lens thing?
Moving the camera thing.
What was that?
The screen.
This?
Yeah, don't move that. Okay. So.
Okay, it's still going. So.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. Action.
All right. And so, what we want to do is we want to take our bulkhead and we're going to thread it through here, the holes that we've made in our water storage tank. And so the order that we're going to do is we're going to take this threaded part and put that first through the silicone ring here. And so we're going to take that silicone ring and put it towards our container. And so that is where we are pushing that bulkhead all the way through. If it doesn't fit, you can screw it towards the outside, but it just needs to sit flush against that side wall here. So I'm going to take that and now take the nut that I have here. There's more of a flat side and then there's a rounded side. We want to take the flat side and use that to screw this in. The silicone washer on the inside of the tank will allow us to not get water outside. And so this is what it should look like in the end. We have it attached, and you can go as tight as you want. Just don't over tighten it. It may actually break. So I did lose the silicone washer for this one. I do have another one, but that's why it's black. So yours should have the silicone washer. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing here putting that silicone washer on the threaded side, and then putting that through here, and then taking my nut and tightening this side. So here, nice and tight, and now I have both bulkheads installed. The inside looks like this. Again, silicone washer should be on the inside to prevent the water from spilling out. We will be using this tank to fill with water and nutrient solution. And so next thing we want to do is we want to take our pump that we have here. The pump is a small pump and it's run by AC power. I do want to go ahead and undo this cable tie if it's there. And then we're going to put the pump directly in the tank. Now the pump does have these little suction cups, so that helps us nicely place this in. It doesn't matter which side of the tank you put this on, because we're going to end up taking this top part here and doing tubing from that to the inside of that bulkhead. So I'm just going to place mine right here. And now I realize that I forgot to drill a hole for our plug. So now we need to drill a hole for our plug. This hole I'm going to do pretty much the same, height as the other bulkheads, except I'm going to put it very close to our pump. So probably right here is fine. What we're going to need to do is be able to get our AC plug through that hole, so that way we can plug it up outside. So I'm going to take my drill again, line it up on that dot, and drill away. Remember, going slow at first. Now, since I'm trying to get the plug through the hole, I'm probably going to end up going all the way through, and I can move my pump out of the way. So here, bring that back out, and hopefully that's large enough, and it is not large enough, so we are going to drill a hole right next to our other hole. So this allows us to make the hole just a little bit larger. I'm going to put a dot right next to it so everybody can see where we're drilling. And again, I'm going to start fairly light on my touch, drilling. A little bit more. There we go. Now we have two holes that are not really good enough. So we're going to take our scissors and we're going to cut this little space in between. We really just need to get that plug through there. So now we can try forcing our plug through. May take a little bit of work here, but we will get it eventually. Well, I say that. Let's try to do a little bit more cutting here. If you have a box cutter, that would be a good thing to use as well. Alright, widen that hole up, and now let's try forcing the plug through. And so now what we need to do is we're going to take our tubing, and we're going to run from the pump to the bulkhead. So obviously we don't need this entire bit of tube. I would say from where I have it positioned, I'm going to cut about 8 inches. And so I'm just going to take my scissors, find the spot that I'm going to cut, and cut there. Put my tube to the side, as well as my scissors. Now, so I have a small piece of tube, like I said, roughly about 6, 8 inches, somewhere in there. I'm going to go ahead and take one part of that tube and put it where the pump is. So we can go ahead and attach that here. It's maybe a little challenging, so you might have to work it a little bit, but eventually we'll go around that part. I found twisting sometimes helps, and remember this piece just comes off, so you can always just take it, and then once you have it secured, you can then put it in afterwards. Since that was a little easier to deal with, I'm going to go ahead and take that off, because now we're going to take this side and we're going to go to the bulkhead that is closest to where we want our pump to go. So right here, and I'm going to hold the back side of the bulkhead, and I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. I'm attaching that tubing right there. And so we have a good solid connection. And I'm going to replace my pump back inside, and then put that right back here. There we go. Last thing we're going to do is, and we may want to rotate that a little bit so that tube kind of settles down. Doesn't matter too much. I'm going to put one more piece of tubing on this other bulkhead. This is going to be our return, so where the water will flow back out from the growing container and back into our reservoir. So taking our tubing and our scissors, just going to cut probably 4 inches. So small amount here, cut that, put our scissors and our tubing aside again, and I'm going to connect this right onto here. And again, holding behind the bulkhead. We just want that so that way it'll pour back in and not run down the side of the tank. But we have finished our water storage or nutrient storage tank. We're just going to put the lid on, make sure everything fits well together, and it does. So we're going to set this aside, and we're going to move on next to the growing container tank and setting it up.